evening, my beautiful friends. It's like 8 p.m. It's Monday night, back to work tomorrow for us. But I thought I would go ahead and get some food prep done so tomorrow is easier for dinner. So I'm going to make a meatloaf. I never make a meatloaf the same way twice. So I'm just going to throw some stuff together and let's make a meatloaf. I do have some fresh green beans also cooking on the back stove that I got down at the Mennonite veggie stand. So those are going. So I've got my ground beef, 2 pounds here in my bowl. So let's get crack-a-lack-a-lackin', shall we? All right, so we're going to do 2 eggs in a bowl here. Now, Krista, if you're watching, and I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to another Krista. I haven't forgot you and your questions about eggs. I'm working on some things, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so 2 eggs in the bowl, and we are going to mix them up. Now, one thing I always use when I make meatloaf is this meatloaf seasoning mix. I like it. It's from the, my mom used it. It's what I've grown up making, and I just like it. So if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. Of course, I want to use other seasonings, but I don't know. There's just something about it that I like. All right, I'm going to mix that in with my eggs. All right, just going to give it a little bit more of a stir here, get all those seasonings incorporated in with the eggs. I'm going to put right in the ground beef. I want to get all of that. I don't want to leave anything behind. Half a cup of milk is next. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to put some in this bowl so I can get all that seasoning out. Put the rest in. Half a cup of milk. Go. There's my spoon. All right. Get out of here. I got a little fly in here. All the seasonings are in. Next up, I sauteed. I had a yellow pepper in the fridge, so I sauteed that yellow pepper and some onion and a little bit of bacon grease. Sometimes I put peppers in, sometimes I don't. Like I said, I've never made meatloafs like snowflake. No two's alike. So I never really follow a recipe when I make meatloaf. So that was 1 yellow pepper and some onion, probably half a cup of chopped onion. Of course, that's optional. Oh, that scarred me. All right, so we're going to add in some garlic powder. We're going to add in some onion powder. Even though I have the onions in there, I'm still going to add it. I'm going to add in some salt and pepper. Pepper. I'm going to move all this over. I don't want to break my salt and pepper shakers. Those were Brock's grandpa's. We're going to mix this in really quickly. Now for my bread, Brock likes a drier meatloaf. I like a moister meatloaf, so I kind of try to compromise. One time I'll make it a little drier for him. The next time I'll make it a little juicier, I guess, for me. All right. Smelling good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up and I'm going to put it in the fridge. And in the morning, we are going to make it in my slow cooker. My slow cooker has a bake feature on it. So I'm interested to see how it would do in the slow cooker. I have baked the meatloaf in the slow cooker. Not this slow cooker, a different one. And that one has just 1 through 5. So this one has a bake feature. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen. I may have to order a pizza for myself tomorrow if this doesn't turn out. Okay, so for breadcrumbs, I took 2 slices of that fresh bread that I just made. Let me tell you, that fresh bread was amazing. We made BLTs tonight for dinner on that fresh bread. Probably one of the best sandwiches I've ever had, and I'm not joking. So delicious. Okay, so we've got 2 pieces of bread, my fresh homemade bread that I just made. I toasted it. You can put in the food processor, but I like it a little chunky like me. Get that in there. Give that a good stir. Smells good already. All right. I have to say, I love meatloaf. I honestly do. I really get hungry for it. So I'm just like, I have to have a meatloaf. Anybody else? Maybe it's a Midwest thing. I don't know, but I just don't think you can beat just a good old hunk of meatloaf with some ketchup. I know there's a debate on that too. Okay, I'm gonna make it just a little bit drier. So I'm gonna add some Italian breadcrumbs. You could add plain ones, whatever you like. I'm gonna say maybe half a cup. Okay? And that's gonna be it for our meatloaf mixture for now. Get this all stirred up and combined. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator until the morning, when we're going to put it in the slow cooker. So there you have it. All right, I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, friends. It's Tuesday morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Come on in, take a seat. It's 7:15 a.m. Let's bake the meatloaf before we go to work. Still got my pajamas on. Nothing wrong with that. This is real life. I'm not going to get fully dressed to cook a meatloaf before I go to work. Anyway, let's put the meatloaf on. That's one way to do it. All right, just gonna get in there. I'm just gonna press this meatloaf out. Now, like I said, this is the first time I'm using this slow cooker to cook a meatloaf. I have cooked a meatloaf in my other slow cooker, but this one has a bake feature. So when I was thinking about how hot it was and heating up the oven for a meatloaf, I thought, oh, Y'all Ninja has a bake feature. All right. Press that meatloaf out. Let me wash my hand really quickly. Hands are clean. Meatloaf's in. I like mine with ketchup. Put whatever you want on top of yours. I'm not real fancy here. Like my ketchup. Oh. Mason's girlfriend Elena eats ketchup on everything, so I go through ketchup more now than I used to when she's visiting. Let me get some more. Here's the before. There it is. Put it in. I plugged it in this morning. I forgot to plug in my mixer twice the other day. Okay. We're going to turn it on. We're going to do bake. And we're going to do, let's try 350. 350 or 400 are my options. Let's go for 1 hour, because I really don't know. Okay, sorry you have to sit through all this. One hour, and start. And there we go. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of water around it. Just just a tad, maybe a fourth of a cup, just because I don't think it'll change the integrity of the meatloaf, but it may keep it from getting too crispy on the bottom. I don't know, because I've never used this for the bake feature of a meatloaf. If it works out, this is going to be fantastic. All right, I will see you in an hour. Friends, it's been 40 minutes and the meatloaf is done. I always cut my meatloaf in half to make sure it's done. I don't want it to get overcooked, so I went ahead and took it out. Here it is right out of that slow cooker on the bake feature. Now, is it beautiful? No, but I didn't have to do anything. I sat in my pajamas and had coffee while I was cooking, and I didn't heat up the house on a hot day. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add a little bit more ketchup. This is optional. I'm gonna have to stop and get some more ketchup. Give this a little bit of a swirl here. I know some people add brown sugar and do all that fancy stuff. I'm just gonna put it in. I've got some foil underneath in my pan here. I'm just gonna put it in my toaster oven under broil for a few minutes, just to kind of caramelize that ketchup a little bit. It's not gonna heat up the house too much, and we'll be right back when that's done. Didn't that turn out good? Yeah. So here you have it, friends. Look at this. The slow cooker baked feature meatloaf. I was very skeptical, but I'm very pleased. I put it under the broiler for just about 5 minutes for that ketchup. Do you have to do that? Absolutely not. Cleanup was so easy. I just drained my grease. I always have I have this enamel bowl that I always use for grease because I know it won't break. Line it with foil, pour in your grease. Cleanup is easier. This beauty is non-stick. So while I was putting the meatloaf in the broiler, I put in some warm water into the center of this pot. That way if there was any sticky bits, they would come up so easily. Washed up so nice. My dishes are done. Meatloaf is done. I'm gonna let it cool and then put it in the fridge for us later. I cooked those fresh green beans last night. We'll just have to heat those up. Now Brock has been talking about baked potatoes, so I may bake him a potato to go with the meatloaf or some boiled potatoes. But I'll be back this afternoon when we get home from work and show you our easy, quick dinner. Listen, I think this is the way to go. Put that in there and forget, the house smells amazing. Very minimal effort, very minimal cleanup. And it didn't have to make the house hot, and I got a gorgeous meatloaf out of the deal. All right, I'm gonna go get ready for work. I'll see you this afternoon. Oh wait, I forgot to give it a little taste. Let's sneak a little taste. Got a little bit of a crispy bottom. Just as I thought, delicious. Now I'm gonna go. See you in a little bit. So we're home from work. The meatloaf's done. The green beans are done. We just have to heat it up. Brock decided on boiled potatoes, and I am happy about that decision. So that's what we're gonna have. So here I have my cut up potatoes, just enough water to cover them, some salt. Gonna add a little bit of bacon grease. We're making some boiled potatoes. All right, now we're gonna let them go until they are fork tender, and we'll be back. Our potatoes are fork tender. I drained a little bit of the broth off because I learned a long time ago, my mama would say, you better leave some broth on them potatoes. So I leave broth on the potatoes. Maybe it's just the way she liked it. I never made that mistake twice, let me tell you. I'm gonna add in a little bit more bacon grease. I'm gonna add in about 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm gonna give that a gentle stir. I don't wanna mash my taters. I'm gonna put it back on. I'm gonna add some pepper here really quickly. Lots of pepper. Just a little bit of salt, because you know how potatoes are. I'm gonna put it back on the stove for just a few minutes to get that butter melted and the grease incorporated in them taters. I'd say, Mama, you're such a good cook. And she'd say, well, honey, I don't know how to cook anything but hillbilly food. My opinion, hillbilly food, if you want to call it that, some of the best food in the whole world. She could take something so simple and make it so delicious. She would have such little, you would think she didn't have any food in her house, but she could prepare a feast. That's just the way she was. My dad was the same way, and I hope one day I will be the same way. Maybe I already am. I don't know. All right, I'll give the potatoes a minute, and we'll be right back, and we're going to have dinner together. Dinner is ready. Here it is, that meatloaf that you and I cooked this morning in the slow cooker on the bake feature. How fantastic was that? Fresh green beans I snapped yesterday and cooked last night before bed. We've got our boiled potatoes in that broth with butter, bacon grease. I've got fresh bread that I baked yesterday with Brock's homemade strawberry jam and some apple butter. I got some applesauce. Alicia, thank you. So there you have it, a gorgeous country meal. Sorry, I had to get a fork. Gorgeous country meal my mama will be proud of. There you have it. Some of the best food in the whole world. Some of the best people in the whole world. I love it. Perfection. Not mad about that meatloaf being cooked in that slow cooker this morning. I'm going to go have my dinner. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out with me. Fix your hillbilly meal. You won't be sad at all. Bye, y'all.